All right, that means the button's been pushed. Howdy, everyone. It is Crow's Nest, no quarter time. This one's episode 38 called Is It Dialed In Yet? So, obviously, because of all the fun with the damage. So, if you'd like to join us, the link's in the YouTube chat. So, if you want to talk about the raid, I guess that's really the only topic there is. I guess we can talk about the free fleet and all that sort of debacle. But anyway, I'll go ahead and say howdy to everyone. So Doomsday seems to be first again. So g'day, Doom. How you going?
Hey, how's it going?
Good one. Then we've got Toxic.
G'day, everyone. How are we?
And Shane.
Hello, peoples.
And Ross Crow.
Good evening, everyone.
And then it shows as me. So hello, everyone. And then Damnation.
I'm not here.
You said that last week. All right. So how's your raid going, everyone? What targets are you hitting? What prizes are you getting? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because we didn't really talk about topics before we started. So I'm guessing that's what we're talking about.
I'm actually going to go first because this is probably the only thing I'm going to say this entire show. You guys can have at it.
Right.
I raided the first day. I got all the new stuff, and I'm not doing any more raid. I think what they've done with this raid, the way it started out, the damage, and the fact they've had to dial it down multiple times is a huge freaking travesty, and I'm not doing any more of it. I don't care how low they lower it down. I've had it. And that's all I got to say. Have a good show.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I'll go. You know, I started out the event. I had a target in mind, you know, with the points that I needed. I really did not feel myself that the points required with what's new out there was out of line and for me to achieve. So I started out and hit the targets and then noticed the damage. The damage was actually so high for me that, and I'm really not the greatest driver at all, and I never professed to be, but I truly have some pretty nice fleets. I've got a lot of time, a lot of, you know, all limited everything, you know, on them, and they're just getting smoked. So I opted to hit that 110 at the time and blitz enough to get the hull and the weapon and get that started. Now, I was not one to blitz, you know, the whatever billion points. I did not do anything like that. I just figured out exactly what I needed to get going, you know, as fast as I could, as far as the hull, the weapon. And because I had an open shipyard, and I did just that. And then from this point, then that point on out, when I really have got the prizes that I needed, that I felt I needed, at least, I have just continued to hit one target and then slowly repair and not coin them. Because the damage is so high for me, I don't, even if I were to drive really, really well, I'm not seeing that much of a difference in the damage. I'm seeing a little difference, yes, but it's not a great deal when I hear people's times after they, you know, that's their best time compared to my just driving right through. It's not that much difference. I'm noticing many, you know, and I really can't tell where I'm picking up the extra damage at times. I know that it's been dialed down apparently. I mean, well, I get it apparent, but my fleet damage certainly has not been actually at all. I'm picking up exactly coin wise, and you might be count to the minutes or whatever, but that's fine. But and I'm sorry I'm this way, but I am a coin player, and if it cost me 2 to 6 coins before, and it cost me 2 to 6 coins now, that's the same damage to me. And that's what's going on in my book. So I'm just hitting one and repairing at this point.
Okay. Myself, I'm not hitting the 108 and 110. I mean, the 110 kills my fleet still, and I think that's ridiculous. I've had to drop down to the 104s and 106s. Now, if I'm running a grease monkey, I can do 2 sets for 1 coin on my flagship. And I can do like 6 sets before the rest of my ships are dead enough that I have to stop. And then that's like 3 hours and 45 minutes to wait for that to repair. I can do the Midnight Marauders with 1 coin every set, again, going on to the flagship, because the 106 does damage to my flagship. The 104 is still even across the board. But, I mean, that's how I've resorted to doing what I'm doing at an efficient rate. It just sucks. I have to drop down to the next set of targets because, I mean, I'm in the same boat as you. The bat rays I got, they cannot be built no better, I don't think. But the 110 just still literally kills the fleet. There's no sense in doing 9.5 hours damage for 1 target on 1 set. So that's where I'm at and what I'm using.
Cool. And I know you're using bats. What are you using, Ross?
I'm using the razor tail. I've tried the bat ray, and they melted for me.
Yeah.
I'm previously I've used the bat ray fleet only autoing SSRBs and that type of target. So I'm not proliferant driver in the bat ray, but I am on the razor tail. I've used the razor tail now so much that I've been aware of how fast it visually kills other objects, whether subs can circle me once or twice and they're still under. I'm aware of how they perform in the past, and they really are lacking in this one. I can't really tell. I have just a ton of antis on the fleet myself. It's all built out with nail heads and just a lot of the antis, the Gale 4s, and it's not doing me any good. I can say that. I think that almost I would prefer to have all weapons and no antis, just because I don't think that they're being very effective. And I think that the faster kill might be a better idea, and I might receive less damage in that aspect as long as a faster kill. So in the past, it was the other way around for me. I was definitely thinking shoot everything out of the air, shoot whatever's coming at me or the greatest percentage, and take minimal damage. So I am going to have to rethink it, but it's the end of the cycle. It's not something I really want to do. I'd like to shelf the fleet and say call it good, because I thought it was maxed, and then again, I don't know what to do now.
Okay, I guess I'll go next. I worked a 15-hour day on Friday, so
I know I said I wasn't going to say Mark, but can I interrupt real quick? I know Travis is only here for a short amount of time, so can we let him go next?
Yeah, sure. No worries.
All right. Sorry.
You go, man.
Well, for my raid, it started out just getting hammered the first couple targets and then waiting 7 hours. And then I heard the damage was dialed down. So tried it again, waited another 7 hours. And then I just started, while 41s were on the map, I was just running 1 razor tail with no armor just to get the easy points off of that. When the fleet finally repaired, I started doing an 80 set with about an hour and 15-hour-and-a-half damage, depending on how I drive. It was just boring, so I just started. I took the free fleet, and then I took my Brennus fleet and the bat rays that I have, and I've just been autoing 60s, and when one is in a target, I'm micro repairing the other one, and when I get that launch it, usually the one's done, and then I'll just flip flop them. So I'm just running 2 fleets on 60s, and I'm at 78 million. No coins. But this second fleet, like Ross mentioned about the damage, the way the cormorant works, it's kind of like a phalanx. So it's like, it's only a certain amount's going to fire out at given how many projectiles are coming at you. So I guess if you're a bad driver, you're probably going to need more. But there's still, if I've actually watched them hit, and then the torpedoes keep coming. So they have some type of resistance on the torpedoes or an evade or something. Because even if they get fired at, it's not guaranteed they're going to get shot down or shot out of the water. So I'm thinking maybe like just 2 is enough. And once we start adding, and it might be 3, but there's a number there that once you go past that, I swear I think it's hurting our fleets. So I'm going to take the free fleet. I'm going straight DPS as soon as we get off the show, and I want to see was these special events and us grinding out the Flying Dutchman to get these things. Was it a waste of our fucking time? Excuse my language, or was it um, a tipping point? Like it's like a seesaw. You put so many on, and it's going to balance it out. You put so many on, and it's going to slam it down. But is it going to be? Are you going to be the kid sitting on the ground not having any fun? Or are you the kid stuck up in the air? So it's like a give or take situation here. Do they, after you get past a certain point, do they even work? Are they even effective? Or are they broken?
Well, I will be, interested to hear what you come up with, because it is a visually hard thing to see the whole, mechanic, and the whole battle is going. Is quite a epic battle at points to tell what's actually hitting and being shot, and then even to to really see for me. And
I just know the last raid when I had 3 on, it worked great. But after I started putting more on, and I think I just have like 5, maybe 6 in the fleet. But I think I have at least 3 too many.
then I have more than that, in all honesty, on my fleet, a great deal more. So that might be what's killing me. So
see, because the way I drive, I try to just have 1 or 2 ships, surface ships, coming at me at once, and then you'll get the occasional subs going around you. But so I focus the surface ships out first, and trying to use my Brennus, to hover over use the bowler jet to hover over the sub. So I'm not getting a ton of torpedo fire. So if only 1 or 2 of them's firing, then I have 4 slots that are just useless.
Cool. Okay, go Toxic.
Yeah, like I was saying, I worked a long day, and I got home and I thought, I'll try at least 1. I get a couple of or 1 set done, or maybe 2, and then go to bed, repair overnight, and start on Saturday morning. Now, start at the start. I didn't build a battery fleet. I've chosen to do the razor tails. Put the fleet together. I added 2 4s and 1 of the torp countermeasures, and that's all I've done. Apart from that, the fleet was just stock standard. I could do last raid. I could do 3, sometimes 4 targets, the S targets, and then I had to repair. When I got home on Friday and put this on, I drove through a 110. I noticed that the subs wouldn't surface. It took them forever to surface. And by the time I'd finished the target, I had 6 hours and 38 minutes repair. And I said, gee, maybe I'm tired. Maybe I didn't do it right. I'll try again tomorrow. And then I heard all these stories about this, that, and the other. And by the time I clocked in on Monday, on Saturday, we got the free fleet, the free bat race, and I thought, yeah, well, what I'll do, I got the targets from the TLC, and I ripped out a couple of the anti-torps and a couple of the anti-morts, the force, the Gale 4s or whatever they are, and I'd put them on the. I'd made one designated defensive file, and I tried again. I got told that the damage was tuned down and whatnot, and I could do the same 110, and I got 3 hours and something repair, which is still double what, or maybe even triple what it used to be, and that is with extra antis on it, more rockets, and a couple of different specials that I used to target for from the TLC. And yeah, so I decided not to go ahead and do the raid with the S targets, but I'm just hitting 95s, and I get my 4.5 million points, and then I'll have 2 hours repair, and I'm at 30 million or 35 million points right now, and I don't really care whether I get the hull or not. I just keep on going, and that's it. I mean, I think the 6.5 hours, I think, sort of took the air out of that raid for me. It's not enjoyable if it if it goes over the top. I mean, I don't mind, like last raid, I didn't mind spending 10 or 20 coins or whatever it was for every 100 million that I got. I was happy with that, but I'm not spending 14 coins per set or more. No, that's not going to happen. So I'd rather not have the hull, but I'll see how I go. See if I get my my points. And the other thing I didn't really like was that I have to pay 30 million points for the last tier 7 armor, and that's going to cost me, where I got like what, 20 ships I need to put it on. So yeah, that's another month of refits, and yeah, it's a bit, I don't know. So the air went out of the sails a little bit. Maybe there's something else coming we don't know, but yeah, at the moment I'm not really feeling it. I don't know about you guys, but that's my experience with this raid, with the third part of this raid, as it stands.
Yeah, so it seems like everyone's really struggling and not enjoying it. I sort of had a similar experience. I got up ridiculously early on Friday morning because I'm stupid, thinking, oh yeah, we can hit the co-op targets, have a bit of fun together, and all that sort of thing. And we waited, and we waited, and we waited, and we waited. And in the end, I think I hit one target before I went to work, and that was about it. So knowing that I could repair while I was at work, got about 6 hours damage. But I realised that sorry, that's with razors too. I realised that I'd just driven it bloody atrociously. So I thought, well, I can do better than that. So, and I came home after work and I had a look at the bat ray fleet, and I've basically just tested every target to try and find a comfort point, because the S targets were just way too much damage. I didn't bother hitting any more at all S targets on Friday night. I just sort of did some 80 sets and 95s and just stuff like that. And I was thinking, well, I'd set myself this score of, I don't know, I think it was like 350 or something million, thinking, well, that'll be enough. This is the last raid before Christmas. I can, probably spend a little bit of coin on it, but not too much. And yeah, I just couldn't find a comfort point at all. And then I'd kept an eye on what was going on all the pages and Discord and everything, and saw that they dropped the damage down. So I went out and gave it a go, and I was at about 2 to 3 coins with a grease monkey for each target of the S target. So I was like, okay, well, I can live with that. I don't like it, and I'm not comfortable with it, but I can live with it, knowing that the damage will be put up yet again. So I just, hit as much as I can, and now basically all I'm doing is hitting 89s and stuff like that for the res, and I'll just keep on working on my walls, and I've given up on a lot of the things that I would have liked, but it is what it is. So I also tested the Kicks Bat Ray fleet against my Bat Ray fleet to work out which one was better, and mine was slightly better the way that I'd already had it, so I ended up scrapping those, as much as it was nice of them to give them to us for all the people that missed out on the day with all the tokens and all that. So who got all those tokens, and do the rest of you think that it's fair and all that sort of stuff?
Well, the tokens they gave me for the repair tokens that softened the blow of the beginning kicking the dick, At least that repaired my fleet, and I can go and finish that 110 that I died in that very first time, And then whenever they said they lowered the damage, all right, well, let's go out there and check it again. Sure enough, I actually lived through that, but I probably had like 5% left on one bat ray when I killed the final ship in it. So it's better. It didn't take me another 3.5 hours after my fleet died to finish it off, but that's still pitiful to try to do that top target like that. I mean, it's just too fucking much.
Yeah.
I got them all. I happen to be one of the lucky ones that, got on the time period or hit that magic, whatever it was, that set that off. So I did get them all. But, for me, I could see where it'd be huge for a player. Huge for a player. But for me, and I'm not knocking the whole thing, but in my situation, there are fleets that I already have. Things like that. Now the tokens they gave me were cool. In all honesty, I'm not sure still on what I got truly for that, because let's be honest, the whole token viewing system is kind of a cluster for me. Is it not for everyone? I mean, when you go to see what tokens you have, are they easy to find?
No.
I mean, that's my point. So I don't know what I had in the past. I don't know what I have now, to tell you the truth. There's no real rhyme or reason for order in the token viewing system that I can figure out. So, and maybe there's some secret organization I don't understand. I'm hoping to learn, but so I don't know what I got, to tell you the truth. But I got the fleet with the lead. So for me, it's outstanding because of simple, just because it's got the Hyper 30. Now, to me, that's what everyone got as far as I'm aware, is a fleet full of with the Hyper 30 on there at least. So, in my opinion, that alone, with the price tag, what's it got? 25 million a shot?
Yeah.
Okay, look at that. So, I mean, that's what I'm just basing that. For me, it's a thumbs up. For the small player, in my opinion, that got the 5 ships without the lead, I think it's a game changer in a way, even though that kind of the main resources moved from uranium to the need to titanium, but it's still, there's a huge portion of the game in the community that doesn't have an efficient uranium gatherer, and I hope that gave them that moving forward, and so I think that is a great thing. Whether I don't care if it sucks for this event or not. After this event, in my opinion, it's a great thing for the player.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. That it gives them something to be able to get a required resource.
Yeah.
I mean, they can't even. I don't like that the way they went with titanium for the newest parts, but still, as far as upgrades, regular and all that, growing up to where we're at now, it's still uranium. It's just they added titanium on a few new things, which I do hope they change those back to uranium. Because the way it's understood, I thought uranium was for the base and titanium was for the ships. You know, as far as where it was applied.
Yeah, when it was introduced, it certainly was.
Yeah.
And for players that's catching up like myself, see, I went ahead and did the Shipyard 5 so I could go ahead and get expert builds to catch up on a few things. It uses uranium there in place of titanium. So if you use expert build, you'll use a lot of uranium. So if players that are trying to catch up, I'd suggest going ahead and trying to get your shipyard up there, unless you're getting stuff this raid that's putting you past the previous tech. But I still need a few hulls to like a FM fleet, so it'll help me build my FM fleet. But with all I got was the 5 bat rays, and if you were able to have someone help you with the previous campaign to get the tokens, and if you still got them, or if you got the time for the players who didn't have them, the one refit that I would highly suggest doing is putting advanced concussive payload 2 on it. That will almost double your damage for 11 hours. And if you put a CTX3 on the 4th armor slot, it's 23 hours for me with my R&D, so I'm assuming it's right at a day without it. So that's one day token there. I think they were 3-day tokens, but you can build it however. But like I said, the one thing I would switch out is I would take the pack, whatever special that they put on it. I would take that off and switch it off with advanced concussive payload 2, and you'll go from like, what is it? Your damage is like 600 some thousand right now, and it'll put you over 1 million.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'm hearing the same reports from the players that have done that. They switch out that special, and it's a remarkably huge improvement on the fleet. So, and even if they don't get to the armor, that the damage output is that drastic.
Yeah.
So
and for what they need it for, really, post raid, post skirmish cycle, you don't need that other armor slot.
Right. No, I witnessed it doing the SSRBs prior to the event, and let's just be honest, it's a perfectly fine uranium getter. It really is.
It is, for sure. You might want to add maybe one with a maybe countermeasure reloader 2 or something, or if you got a hydro nozzle, because that way you'll have a little bit better countermeasures on your gales. But as is, I mean, it'll go through those pretty well. But like we mentioned before, those will be changing, but they'll still be here for a little bit of time. So use them while you can.
Yeah, definitely. I was very happy to receive them because a lot of the time when these sorts of things have gone out in the game, if you're not there at the right time, you miss out, and that's invariably when I'm at work. So
Yeah.
I thought giving them to the community was good, and I was trying to work out the actual value in raid points before, and it's got to be like over 200 million by the time you look at the Hyper 30s and the Cormorants and the Gales and they were fully sculled and all that sort of thing. So it was nice. However, for me, I would have much preferred the structured tokens, to be quite honest. That's really where I felt the kick in the guts that it's not an equitable rollout.
Yeah, I could have used the structure tokens, but hey, it is what it is.
Yeah,
Once a farm, always a farm.
Yeah, and I certainly don't want to be seen to be complaining about it because they didn't have to do it at all. So I was very grateful. As I said, I scrapped them because to me they're more useful over the other fleets that I've got. So, you know,
see,
sort of that.
I'll probably scrap them, but to me, there was no need to do it before the raid because, like I said, you know, while you're running one, you can have another one in a 60. And it
Yeah.
comes back like 15 to 18 minutes. So with the 450,000 bonus for completing the set, and then what it's like 300,000, 200, and 100. So, I mean, I'm getting pretty good points just running those two and not having to do anything really. So now that I've said that, they're going to change it. But whatever, I'll stop then.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess they can, but you know, it is an effective way of making points because we do have 6 days to do this. So hopefully you can't all hear that jackhammer that started up behind me. But anyway, so they have been good for people who don't have them, and will be good going forwards for the SSRBs and uranium targets.
Yeah, sorry about the phone there, but I'm not quite sure what you just said. So if I repeat something, then just let me know. I'm in a little bit of a different view of what you are. I mean, I know both of us live in Australia, and we don't normally see the start of the raid, and whatever happens at the start of the raid, good or bad, we usually don't get to get to have a piece of that. And I'm at ease with that. If you're not there, well, you know, it's just tough luck. But I don't think if they hadn't given the fleet or given something to the players that didn't get anything, there would have been a huge uproar. So they had their hands forced, I think, to give us that fleet. But when we got it, and I think when I spoke, I said I tried that fleet out on Saturday. Well, it was Thursday when I tried it out, because I tried it out on an SSRB, and I got 32 minutes repair for a uranium, the uranium part of it. And when I did that TLC, I got all the tokens, and I put extra weapons on it, and I did what Travis said. I put the concussive, whatever it was, on it, and I put the armor on it, and it ended up being around about the 3 to 4 days. And I haven't tried it since because of the raid that started. But I'm happy to have a uranium fleet, which I didn't have before. The only uranium I could ever get was from the daily campaigns that we got. So I'm happy about that. I've changed it. I've made a designated defense hull out of one, and I put only the 2 different types of what do you call it? What are they? Depth charges on it. So as I said, I've not hit a target with them because I don't know how good they are without the Brenners in front. I don't know how to drive them, so that's another thing. All they're going to do is auto the uranium parts so that I can roll cruise, I guess. Apart from that, yeah, I'm pretty happy that they give them to us. But had I not gotten them, it would have just been like water off a duck's back, roll on, roll off. It wouldn't have bothered me.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. And what sort of prizes is everybody going for? What's your what do you think's important in the raid? And obviously the siege fleet is pretty important, but is there anything else that you're particularly going for?
Well, I think that the fleet, the ship is really important. I think it would go in the order, the ship and then the weapon. But then I'm looking at the special, and I think that it's a nice thing to grab. But I think that you could continue on without the special, and that's just my opinion. So I think that there's going to be, there's going to be a line where many people get to. They can achieve the ship, and then they keep going and going and going, and then they get to the weapon, and then they just don't make it in time for anymore. And I would say that you're okay moving forward if you get to that point and try to continue on, but don't think that you're gonna have a junk fleet. I really think that you'll have an all right fleet at that point. I think that the corrosive armor is just an actual must-have in PvP if you're a PvP player. We've been waiting for that for a long, long time. So that's just it's a required item, and then that entails just a huge amount of refits, huge. So almost every PvP ship that you might have in your dock will require a refit with that our new armor. So that's a huge item. Those are really my You can get another tactical focus, so that's a really good one. But those that would be my list then. You know, the new hull, the weapon, the special, tactical focus, and the corrosive armor.
Yeah.
There's a couple of turrets in there too. If you needed a couple more UAVs or something, I've heard some people want to make a bumblebee base.
Yeah.
I'll cut in just 1 second again. I know Cuttlefish in chat wants to make a bumblebee base.
Was he the one I heard? Okay, it might have been who it was.
But yeah, what Ross just then is, I mean, I'm not a huge base hitter. I only just got my my house reworked and refitted and re-armored and whatnot read, and I reckon I have over 20 of them, and it's a day and a half for one plate of armor to put on, plus to take one off. So that's what, between 30 and 35 days, something like that, just to change out the armors on all the hulls. That's not including the new, like the breacher that we just got. So there's going to be a long refit ahead.
See, I left all of my during when we had the tokens. I left every single tier 7 hull that I refit with one slot open because I didn't want that extra time because I knew it was coming. So I left the one slot open, and which will help a little. But man, for years, I've mentioned it to them and other people have, that I really wish we had an armory and a stockpile. Like, once we build this stuff, if we want to take it off, like, you can take stuff off, and store it kind of in a mega hull. Like, I didn't know I was actually rebuilding the same component on the mega hull at first, and ended up with like 6 or 7 of the damn same cannon just sitting there. I didn't know what I was doing, But so I got a bunch of level 1s. But it would be awesome, like, if we take it off, that we could store it in an armory, our weapons and our armors and stuff, or the specials and armors, and then in the stockpile you put your weapons, so that way you can put it back on.
It's like a base planner, basically. You build a ship, you got setup 1, setup 2, setup 3 or whatnot, and then you just can swap between setups once you build them.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. That's a great idea.
Aren't we doing that with limited, and aren't we hating limited items? I mean, in fact, isn't a limited item just that?
Well, I'm not talking about limited.
Spend the time, put it on something else. But he's just talking about being able to swap them out on that ship or whatever, right?
Yeah, like, once you build something, and once we if we refit, and you put those items, I guess they would be limited, or even if it's just something, just a normal weapon. I mean, you've spent the time to build it, and now if you take it off, unfortunately, you got to spend the time to take it off. I think if you spend the time to take it off, it needs to go into an armory, and at that point, you can remount it onto another ship, and just it would give a more of an active loadout kind of feel. And imagine the playability players would have in their hands at that time, you know, instead of waiting 2 weeks to see if something's going to work or waiting 5 days to see if this is going to work. You know, you got this amount of weapons. Let me load it up. I've already built them once. You know, the new ships that I got to build, I still got to spend the time to build those weapons that's going to go on them. But give me an armory. It's a war game. What kind of fucking war game doesn't have an armory?
So basically, just to clarify this for people, what you're saying is, like, so you would take it off, and then when you wanted to put it back on a ship, it would either be instant or say, like, take, you know, just like 2 or 3 hours, as opposed to the whole build time it would take to put it back on.
Exactly, highly reduced, like maybe 75% off. You know, and some of them could be instant, like the lower ones, but that way you don't have to take a special that take 10, 12 hours or a day to put on every time. It might be 2 hours. So or something, be like, all right, this dude hit me. Well, I got this in my armory in about 3 hours and a little bit of planning. Yeah, I'm going to eat his lunch.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Like I said, it'll be like the same sort of thing as the base planner, where you can store the setups that you've taken off, and it'll be in there, and then you can swap it out between a defensive setup and an offensive setup, and it would only cost you a fraction of the actual time. That'd be awesome.
Or even if they gave us just like, you know, just a couple slots in each ship that's, you know, actively where you can switch, like, say, 4 weapon slots, 2 armors, and 2 specials, you know, at any given time. And then the rest of them you're committed to. So you got your core build, but you got an active element that you can switch it out based on your armory and your stockpile.
Well, they already got that kind of ability in mega hulls.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just saying, you know.
And don't feel bad on the old mega hull. I built multiple bridges thinking the same thing.
Yeah, I got 3 of them.
And they're a big one, you know. I'm like, what is going on?
But that's what that ability, what he's talking about, is already in the game to a certain point because of the mega hulls, you know. Yeah. That's exactly what he's talking about, just to be able to do it on the ship. So, okay. But I would think that you would have to put the time in to build those if it's new stuff. But I mean, if you want to swap them out, like the same tier, I'd say is what the time it takes to take it off. That should be their whole refit time for they're doing a swap.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I mean,
or I think a lot of people would even be fine. Like, I know back when I played Diablo, they had 2 different builds you could do for your character, and the switch between what build and what gear you wanted to use. All you had to do was click on a tab or whatever. Yeah. But like, if they wanted to do something like that in Battle Pirates, I think players would even be okay with, like, you know, for every time you wanted to switch between builds, you know, assign like a titanium cost to it or something like that for PvP ships. You know, I think most people would be okay with that.
Yeah, for sure. Instead of time, yeah.
It would add a whole another element of playability, I think, to the game.
Yeah, definitely. I know with the new armor and the refitting, I'm hoping that they're going to you know, keep their word and do another tier 7 reduction. So that's certainly what I'll hopefully try to wait for. But I guess we'll just see how that works out for me. I don't know if it's going to work, but we'll give it a go.
Well, why didn't they just keep it going for an extra few days? You know, they could have kept it going until Monday or Tuesday, and then it would have all been. The armor would have been there. People would have had refitted by then. They would have had some time to test over the weekend. It would have been half repair time because it's raid, you know, and everyone would have been sweet.
Yeah.
But I guess that's not Kickstarter.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have a time machine, so it's too late to cry over that spilled milk.
Yes.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah. You know, it is, but we've, you know, honestly, that armor's way overdue, not just a little overdue. I mean, it really is way overdue. If they wanted to have changed how effective or active game or base hitting was in prior months, that should have been in the game.
Yeah.
Not only is it overdue, it's also overpriced.
Yeah, but I mean there would have been so much more base hitting in the game and coining, by myself at least. Even but if that was out a few months ago, or 2 months, 1 month, any, I really missed that armor, and it cut out. In my opinion, it really made the tier 7 release of the hulls seem inadequate when I liked the hulls, but we were only lacking in that corrosive. So it null and void the entire hull, and it null and void the entire hull through its entire effectiveness. Through that whole tier 7 series. Now we're into 8. So yeah, I'm disappointed with just the timing of the release on the corrosive armor. I love the armor. I'm thrilled about having it now, but I truly believe that was the number one really thing that affected PvP in 2017, is the release and the order of the release, not the items themselves.
2018, you mean, right?
Yes. So over this last year, though I really don't. I love the items. I don't have problems with any. I don't think there's any certain hull that's just junk. I can't think of one, at least. And so but there's so many I don't use, and I never did use, because they were short on corrosive.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So, very good. So, is there any other topics that people want to talk about? Have we done the raid to death? I know there's certainly no BP next week, so it's hard to know what's going on ahead of us. So, apart from obviously getting into the Christmas season,
are we thinking there's coming prizes, added prizes? Are we thinking that? I mean, as a community, we're just a guess. And like I'm hoping for some PvP tokens, possibly.
I mean, I'd like structure tokens, but that's just me. I don't know if they're really going to add anything more, because this was a hell of a list from the start, and one of the things we said was that we didn't really like prizes being added afterwards. So I don't know. To me, it sort of seems like they've reacted to that and just put out a massive list, and this might be it. I don't know one way or the other, but I guess they might add some tomorrow, but it's hard to know.
It's just that my gameplay, and I'm not alone really in the fact that in the past, always in the raids, that I know that the damage increased over the time of the event. Very few, not every single, but most of the time, the damage does increase over the time of the event. So the way I planned my thing out was to get those points right off the bat, just get those limited items I needed, get it started and going. But now, in all honesty, I'm res starved. I'm short on base parts. I'm short on all the required components to continue progression right now for myself. So I'm at a standstill on that. And even if you were to add in, yes, they're offered for points, they're offered for coins, but not in the quantity that. See, I'm interested in changing over like 4 turrets to a different type, which is a common thing for people to do, and I'm interested in doing that. Well, there's just no way I can do that right now. And so I'm at a standstill.
Yeah, I know what I mean. I know what you mean. I certainly stocked up on everything before I started the raid, but I'm getting low on titanium, and I did want to kind of talk about that, because I know some of us use daily chests as soon as we get them, but I'm one to stack them up and collect them. And I know certainly this raid, I've only got a couple left now, and I'm going to get to a point where I'm the same. I can't really do anything more. I've got my expeditions running, and we've talked a million times about the low payout on those, and there's just no way to get what's required unless you get the points to spend on resources, and that's just not effective. It's it's fine if you're at 2.7 billion points for absolutely no reason, but a lot of us aren't prepared to do that ridiculous sort of spending.
But even if you are at 2.7 billion points, you ain't gonna get. There's no way for you to get titanium or base parts anywhere. There just isn't. I mean, I don't know why they
buy the resources.
But there's only so many, isn't there?
Yeah.
And it's very small, really.
Yeah. But I don't see the reason why they starve us, especially now that you need uranium, titanium, base parts. Why don't they put that in the raid targets that we hit? So we always get a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, as well as the normal resources. Yeah. Or do something we can hit in the tower, or I don't know, something. But I don't see again, they're cutting themselves in the finger. Ross wants to build a hull. He can't do that because he wants to change a turret. He can't do it. He wants to spend some money. He can't because there's not enough resources that they give us to do that. So it's Kickside that misses out because of I don't know what reason. It's just strange the way they run that. And I mean, it doesn't sort of affect me because I'm not that big a coiner, or but still, why not give us some of the resources in the actual raid target? I mean, it is a raid, and you're meant to get the new product that they're trying to sell, the new hull that they're trying to sell. Yet you can't build any, only so much until you run out of resources, and then you stop. And then there's 4 days to go or 5 days to go if you done it all the first day. So what do you do? Where do you get the resources from?
Well, there's plenty of normal resources in the targets. It's just the titanium and uranium.
Exactly. If they put 10,000 or 20,000 or 50,000 of each in there, people would and not make it so damn impossible to hit. You'd have people hitting these all the time. You'd have people building stuff, coining stuff, already hitting bases and whatnot. But you can only go so far, and then you have to stop because you don't have a certain type of resource that you may have all the others, but not the one that you need. And that stops you, doesn't it?
Well, it doesn't stop you because their solution is to put them in game so you can buy them for gold and you can buy them 20 times, and there's the solution. So but we've also talked quite a few times about their solution and our solution are different, and there's a line in the middle that a lot of people won't cross, but they seem to think that the solution is there. But yeah, it's an odd way to do it.
I want to interject again here real quick. I'm pulling the plug on this one in 6 minutes. I got stuff I got to do, so time to anybody get their last minute thoughts in.
Cool. Go for it.
I wanted to say on the positive end that, okay, so I have been hitting the 95 target, and I do want to say that, that was showed that by Damnation, but I like that target. I actually like how the interaction, how that works, how you if you don't, kill the Typhoon fast, you can receive more damage, and the driving around, the size of it. It's been a long time since I liked a PvE target, so that's why I'm going out of my way to say that. I really don't mind this. I like it. That's the size I'm liking as a player myself. Almost everything except for damage is what I like in a PvE target. It's not the same as what I've seen, It's just,
Well, it's interesting, actually. I was going to quickly talk about that obviously this target's been planned from the start, because mega hull or whatever you want to call it, it's always been in those targets. It's just been shrouded or whatever, and we couldn't do anything about it. But now we've sort of had the unveiling of it, I guess, is probably a good enough word.
Right.
Cool. So any other thoughts, anyone?
Yeah, just I would have loved to do some of the co-op targets. It would have been so awesome, but unfortunately the damage is too high. So I don't know if Kix is listening or watching or whatnot. Lower the damage and people will hit those targets.
Yeah. Isn't the 95 co-op?
It is.
Yes, yes. But you can, but you're not getting any points then.
Yeah. So there you go, Ross. My game's finally come up, and you can buy the resources.
Well,
100 million of each for 20 coin.
It's not enough if you were to even buy all of them.
Yeah.
It's still not enough to do anything actually. I mean, in the game. At my level, it's not. So that's not really even a valid option in there. To get half of what I need. No.
Well, I guess you can always hit the lower targets if you are playing.
And I agree. But it's just something I'd like to see, because I am out of base parts. I'm totally at the zero mark. So,
yeah.
And that stops some other stuff in the base,
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, it would almost be nice if they had, what were those old uranium targets that we used to have in the raid?
Man of War.
Man of Wars, there you go. And we'll have them for titanium and base parts or something like that. So
that was another good fun interacting target I thought the Man of War was a nice target itself.
Well, it definitely gave you the ability to roll for crews till your heart's content during the raid.
Yeah.
Right. But it allowed, you had to have some thought, because in the design of the fleet that you brought in there, or,
No, it wasn't that hard. Citadels with a Vanquisher.
Well, but
come in there and park it and pull the ships right back or the back. Like you said, a little bit of pre-thought. Just that ship don't move. Just put them right behind there and just sit there and watch the show. I mean, it was. I seen people do it with the Rhinos that way too.
Mm-hmm.
But the Vanquisher was the point ship to use. Because it took what they give, and mortars or missiles, either one worked great. And it was just uranium out the wazoo to go and roll for crews, so you can go out there and do the raid for, with the crew.
Yeah.
It was such a good thing for the raid. And we need to take that out. Let me come here and just punch you right in the nose one time. Quit doing that kind of shit. That was fun,
It shows you that they don't play the game, or if they do play, they got unlimited of everything. They got God mode switched on. I don't know, but yeah, it's not the way that we play the game. That's for sure.
Yeah, I know Carl Ware in chat said to run an expedition, and I certainly did that for titanium, and it came back, and I got a whole 15k. So it's like, well, can't really do much with that, but yeah, that's an old thing, and there's not really much point flogging that one anymore, because if they were going to change it, they probably would have by now. But yeah, cool. Well, I guess we'll start wrapping things up then. So good luck for everybody's raid, and I hope you get what you get and find a point where you're comfortable and don't go crazy. We have got quite a bit of time left, so.
Yeah, and do try to go for the hull if you not get nothing else. I mean, that's what I'm trying for the hull, and if I get that, I'm happy, I guess, because you need that for the next raid cycle, and the sooner you can build it, the more you can build. You need them for the VXP that's going to come up, so you can really strike them a little bit. Yeah. So yeah, try to go for that.
All right. That being said, we're out of here, guys. Give us a like, a thumbs up, share us, put your friends on the page if you haven't already, and we will talk to you next week. Laters.
Later.
See ya.
All right.
See ya.